Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be doing a tier list for the 2026 governor's candidates in every swing and battleground state. This is going to be based on each candidate's electability, not my actual opinion of that candidate. But before we get started, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content. Press the like button, share this video. Don't forget, we have memberships. If you're interested, you can find links to that in the description section. So we have four sections that we will be tier list ranking these candidates in awful at the very worst, below average, strongly decent, and then at the very best you have electoral juggernaut. So let's begin starting off with the California's governor's race. You have Chad Bianco. I'm going to be placing him in the awful slot. He's a horrible debater. I mean, if you watch those debates, you can see that he doesn't answer questions, and there's some rumors going around that he wants to put like security cameras in every single corner or whatever, and he is the Riverside Sheriff County. And it's just not looking good with his campaign. You take a look at where he's polling at. I think it's about 4th place, so not the best. He's not even the first place Republican. Obviously, that's Stephen Hilton, which now we're going to be moving on to Steve Hilton. I think Steve Hilton is your below average candidate, right? He's not awful, and he's not a strong candidate. I mean, he's your top Republican for the California governor's race. I mean, he's obviously way better than Chad Bianco, which is why he's polling at second and sometimes first place, even ahead of the Democrats because of that vote split in the California jungle primary. I think Stephen Hilton obviously got the Trump endorsement as well, so that shows you something with the MAGA base. Steve Hilton, I think even though he's from the UK or whatever, I think he can still do good with the Republican base. He's obviously going to get first place in the Republican in terms of Chad Bianco and him. Obviously, he's going to get more votes than Chad Bianco. So I think still Stephen Hilton is not that bad, honestly. And then you have Xavier Becerra. I think he's also another below average candidate running for California's governor's race. I believe he led the Health and Human Services under the Biden administration, or was it Obama? One of those administrations, correct me if I'm wrong. And he did not do good. I believe he actually got let go or suspended or something like that, and he's facing allegations of corruption, I believe, with regards to using campaign money or some type of money for his own benefits. I could be wrong, but that's what I heard in the last debate. And that means he's obviously not going to be a strong candidate. He is currently in first place for the Democrats, or second. It's between Steyer and Becerra. That's pretty much it, which is why I'm not including Katie Porter here, because she's polling at third place among the Democrats, but Becerra is going back and forth between second and first place between him and Tom Steyer. Speaking of Tom Steyer, he's next. I think everyone in California's governor's race is below average besides Chad Bianco. He is awful. He's the only awful one for California's governor's race out of all the candidates. I think I was almost going to put Tom Steyer as a strongly decent candidate, but just because of that billionaire factor, in terms of electability, the Democratic base does not go well with billionaires. And I know he's a billionaire himself, and he's trying to make it seem like he is going to tax the rich, and he does not mind paying taxes at all. But he was getting flamed in that debate. I mean, he's a pretty decent debater, but he also at the same time was getting flamed because of that billionaire aspect. So he's just a below average candidate. Now moving on to the Ohio's governor's race, you have Amy Acton, the Democrat. I'm going to be placing her in also the below average selection. I just think she's not the worst Democratic candidate. She's also not the best. I mean, it's what they have. It's obviously what they nominated. The primary was held a couple of days ago. And she's polling right now, sometimes in the lead. The latest poll has her trailing Vivek by 1%. And I think Vivek is also going to go in that below average candidate. People may not like him when it comes to certain issues like immigration or whatever. I don't want to get too deep into that stuff overall, but he has the backing of this administration. J.D. Vance obviously came out and supported him. I believe casted his ballot for Vivek, and it's Ohio. They always elect Republicans, and Vivek is a Republican, obviously, so he's going to win. And there is a chance, don't get me wrong, that he could lose just because of what the polling suggests, that it's a very close race, and some polls actually show him losing, which is why he's a below average candidate, because obviously if he was a strongly decent candidate, he would not be losing sometimes in these polls. And when he does lead, he's only up by 1% on average. in those polling averages. So now moving on to the governor's race of Arizona, you have Katie Hobbs. There's a lot of below average candidates. She's also a below average candidate, even though she's going to win. I have her winning currently by 2 percentage points against Andy Biggs, who I think Andy Biggs is an awful candidate. His opponent is in the Republican primary. It's between him and Taylor Robeson, who lost to Kari Lake in 2022. So Republicans in Arizona need to do better, honestly. I think the Republican Party of Arizona is just an utter disaster. I've said that in the 2024 election. I'm saying it once again for the 2026 midterms. Candidate quality matters. Katie Hobbs is not a strong candidate whatsoever at all. The fact that she is winning, that shows you that the Republicans are not nominating good people. And it's not like they can nominate good people because they don't have anyone to run in the state of Arizona, or at least is willing to go up against Katie Hobbs. Yet again, she beat a lackluster candidate in Kari Lake. Katie Hobbs ran a shadow campaign in 2022. She barely campaigned at all. She was barely seen or heard of and still ended up winning because candidate quality matters. Even though Katie Hobbs is in the below average column, she's still going to win. It does not matter. You have the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. I would be placing him in the electoral juggernaut column section, whatever you want to call it. This is obviously a state that voted for Trump by 13 points in the last election. Ted Cruz won last time when he went for re-election by about double digits, actually, I believe 10 percentage points. So it's clear that Greg Abbott is an electoral juggernaut. He is very popular in the state of Texas. No matter who the Democrats run, it will not be close and competitive in the governor's race. The Senate race is a totally, completely different story. But yes, Greg Abbott is that electoral juggernaut for Republicans in the state of Texas. You have Nevada, Joe Lombardo. I would say Joe Lombardo is a strongly decent candidate. His approval rating is always high, I believe, in the low 60s or whatever. That's good for a governor. Now, some polls are suggesting that this is going to be a very close race. So I originally did have Joe Lombardo winning by 3 points. I think it should go down to either 1 or 2% as of right now, because Aaron Ford, his Democratic challenger, is also a very strong Democratic candidate, which is why 2 governor candidates in Nevada will be in the same column, strongly decent section, because I think Aaron Ford and Joe Lombardo are 2 decent, strong candidates that are going up against each other, but because of that incumbent factor, I know incumbents are doing bad, and a lot of incumbents actually got unseated in 2025, or some election around there. Joe Lombardo is, I think, just because of his approval rating, it's a little above average, I would say. I think he should win. He's very popular. Keep in mind, Nevada loves they love Republican governors. Meanwhile, they like to vote Democratic senators, so the total opposites right there. I think Joe Lombardo should win, even though Aaron Ford is also a strong, decent Democratic candidate on the other side. Moving on to Georgia's governor's race, you have Rick Jackson, the Republican candidate. I would say he's below average. He's not the worst. He's not the best, I think, in terms of who Republicans are running. I think between him and Raffensperger, those are the Republicans' top 2 choices. So, Rick Jackson, below average. It's going to be very close. Actually, polls show that he is losing. The latest poll actually shows he's losing. Other than the latest one, on average, he is indeed winning. So, Keisha Bottoms, who just got endorsed by Joe Biden. I know Joe Biden is totally irrelevant at this point, but I think Keisha Bottoms is an awful candidate. It's what the Democrats have right now. If you thought Stacey Abrams was bad, at least Stacey Abrams came within 2 points of winning. Now, Keisha Bottoms might actually come within 1 point of winning, because that's what the polls are suggesting. It's actually a tight race. But this is the state of Georgia that it is trending towards the left. But that's basically for the Senate and general election. They do typically favor Republican governors. So I think she's an awful candidate. She's facing a below average Republican. That's the way I would put it. New Hampshire, Kelly Ayotte. I would also say that she's an electoral juggernaut, just like Greg Abbott. She is in a what's considered a swing state, but New Hampshire votes blue tremendously in terms of senators, especially. Actually, yeah, senators. They do have a Democratic senator. Chris Pappas, I believe, actually is running. I have him winning currently by a likely margin. Now, I know we're not talking about the Senate race, but I just wanted to mention that. Kelly Ayotte, she's going to win by about a likely margin. In 2024, she won by, I believe, about a 6 to 7 percentage points margin. I think it's just going to be a little closer now just because of polarization and the Trump administration isn't doing so well. Therefore, it will be a tad bit closer, but she is considered an electoral juggernaut. Absolutely. Let me know if you agree with that in the comment section down below. As for Wisconsin's governor's race, you have Mandela Barnes, who I would place in the strongly decent column. I think he's a strongly decent candidate. I know he lost to Ron Johnson in 2022, the midterms there for the Senate race. Now, that is against Ron Johnson, who is a very popular Republican in the state of Wisconsin, and that was supposed to be a red wave year, even though Democrats overperformed expectations. But he's going up against Tom Tiffany, who is not Ron Johnson level. Tom Tiffany is your below average candidate, which is why, in this case, Mandela Barnes would be seen, for this race specifically, as a strongly decent Republican candidate. Tom Tiffany is a below average candidate, giving Mandela Barnes the advantage. And then you have Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. He is the third and final electoral juggernaut. Josh Shapiro obviously faces no competition. He should win by a likely margin, not as much as he did in 2022 of 14 points. That was outrageous. I think maybe half of that, so 7 points, just because simply of the anti-Israel rhetoric that we are seeing. Still not going to be enough to cost him this race. I think voters of Pennsylvania like the job that he is doing. He's a moderate. He doesn't only win Democratic support, independents as well, but also some Republicans, a good amount of them, surprisingly actually, voted for him, which is why he won by 14 last time. I would say cut that in half. He wins by 7 this time around. He is still an electoral juggernaut, probably the best out of the three, Kelly Ayotte and Greg Abbott. You have Iowa's governor's race, Rob Sand. I would say he's a strongly decent candidate going up in that column with the other three candidates, Joe Lombardo, Aaron Ford, and Mandela Barnes. I would put Rob Sand with those candidates in the same exact tier. He is polling very well for a Democrat in a very red state, Iowa. And I think if Democrats have a chance in Iowa, it's going to be the governor's race, not so much in the Senate at all. Rob Sand is running a tremendously great campaign. I think he can come within under 2 points of actually potentially winning this race. I'm not saying he's going to win, but the polls suggest he very well can do so, and I think he's actually leading some of them. Correct me if I'm wrong. And his opponent, Randy Feenstra, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, he, I would say, is a below average candidate. Obviously, he might win just because Iowa is a red state, but he's not too bad to put him in awful in the same place with Chad Bianco and Keisha Bottoms and Andy Biggs, so he's not that level of bad. So I would just say below average. You have Michigan's governor's race. These are three candidates. You have independent candidate Mike Duggan, who I would say is a strongly decent independent candidate. He is the current mayor, I believe, of Detroit City. So if that's the case, I think he's a strongly decent candidate. He's pulling a lot of votes away from Jocelyn Benson, the current Democratic nominee for Michigan's governor's race. He's pulling a lot of votes away from her. That means that John James has a better chance of winning because Mike Duggan, the independent candidate, is taking votes away from the Democrat Jocelyn Benson. I also do think that John James is a strongly decent candidate. He will be going in that column. He ran a few times. I believe he served as a representative in the state of Michigan. John James is Republicans' best hope in the state of Michigan. You have Jocelyn Benson. I'd also say Michigan has strong candidates for the governor's race. The Senate, a bunch of weak ones, obviously. But for the governor's race, I think Mike Duggan, Jocelyn Benson, John James are all three strong, decent candidates. And the reason why I have Jocelyn Benson joining John James and Mike Duggan as strong, decent candidates is because the fact that Mike Duggan is taking away votes from her, and she still is that competitive, or she is somewhat winning in some of the polls by a couple points. She's not always losing all the time. The fact that she is winning in some when she is losing votes from the third-party candidate, I think that is good enough for her to be a strong, decent candidate, or considered that way. The last and final candidate, which is Florida's governor's race, Byron Donalds. I would say Byron Donalds is a strongly decent candidate. Florida, obviously a very red state, voted for Trump by double-digit margins. Byron Donalds has the backing of the MAGA base and most of the Republican Party. He should win by a likely margin, not as much as DeSantis did, by I believe 18 points. It should be within 9 or 10 points just because simply of polarization, a likely amount. So this is my tier list ranking for all the competitive battleground swing states for the 2026 governor's midterms. If you want me to do the same thing for the Senate's tier list, for the Senate candidates, for the swing states, let me know in the comment section down below. One last final reminder is to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss all my content, press the like button, share this video. Don't forget we have memberships. If you're interested, you can find links to that in the description section. Thank you everyone for watching.